Hey guys, Jordan with the Young Turks, TYT Politics. Share this video now. We are in front of Morton County Courthouse, Jailhouse, the Dome of Corruption, as I would call it. And I'm with Chase IronEyes and Vanessa Castle. 2 days ago, Chase was arrested at Little Child Camp, which was a brand new camp they were opening up right outside Ocheti Sakoan. Vanessa was not a part of that camp or demonstration. Chase and about 75 others, give or take a few, were arrested. Chase has been charged with inciting a riot and criminal trespassing, one of which is a Class C felony. Vanessa was also charged with inciting a riot. So Chase, to begin the story, tell me about the process. I remember getting knocked on my door the night before. Chase IronEyes wants you to cover something. Why did you guys establish that camp, which was right across from the main camp?
Yes, it's important to understand that what's happening is I'm being targeted as a leader. They're trying to send me back to prison. A Class C felony inciting a riot is punishable by up to 5 years in prison, and that what had happened at the camp, the Ocheti Shakoi, is that descendants of Crazy Horse had received spiritual instructions to seek safety from the floodwaters and to go to high ground and to go west of the camp. And they did that, and because I went out to find out from the police, who were assembling in a highly militarized fashion on the Backwater Bridge, which has been blockaded since October 27th, which is the largest roadblock or military blockade in North Dakota history. I went out with others, several others, to find out what the police and militarized law enforcement and National Guard and corporate mercenaries' purpose was. And they told me that that camp was on private land. I understand now that it's DAPO land. The Dakota Energy Transfer Partners owns that land, and they needed to be removed. And so I asked for some time to go relay that to those autonomous people and leaders who are not subject to or answering to me. But it's clear that the Morton County Police Department and the law enforcement on the ground there wanted to portray me as the ringleader or as the leader of that camp, which I was not. But that spiritual camp was expressive and in furtherance of spiritual instructions that those descendants had received, and the camp was named the Last Child's Camp in honor of Crazy Horse's own warrior society, the only one of which he created and belonged to. And it came at a time when it seems the governor, the North Dakota legislature, which passes bogus unconstitutional laws, one of which I might be tried under, this inciting a riot law, and North Dakota media, North Dakota National Guard, North Dakota law enforcement, are all in a collusion to villainize, dehumanize, and portray this movement as unlawful, as violent, and riotous, when in fact people were just engaged in a prayer circle and were fulfilling a spiritual purpose in a prayerful way. But now it seems that they are trying to set the stage to push people back into the reservation, onto the reservation, and that in fact the Standing Rock Sioux tribe, which I've never thrown under the bus, I understand exactly why they're being pinched, because the economic hardship created by that roadblock is the same as withholding rations 130 years ago. But they have disavowed, they have villainized and called this new camp a rogue camp. But in fact it was a camp that lifted the spirits of everybody involved. It showed the world that those people who were doing the camp were not willing to back down, that they are willing to stand in peace and prayer and dignity and continue the fight for a people's right, indeed 10 million people's right, to clean, non-privatized drinking water, to further the fight of the constitutional rights, human rights and civil rights, which are being violated, to further the fight of Native nations' right to be free from legal, political, and economic oppression, to seek liberty, liberation, and self-determination, and the right of the people who seek a new energy economy now. This is the focal point of the struggle at Standing Rock, and we want people all over the country to know, those of you who are organizing by the millions, when they charge me with inciting a riot, it's Donald Trump who's actually inciting a riot, who has invoked millions of people to take to the streets, who's invoked tens of thousands of people to shut down airports, who's invoked tens of thousands of people to let the world know that they're ready to strike. Every demographic outside of the Euro-based heteropatriarchy, including all of the Black Lives Matter movement, including all of those who are called immigrants, called illegal human beings in a hemisphere in which they originate, the wall that's attempting to be built, the entirety of the peace-loving Muslim faith, who are being discriminated against, violated, and dehumanized by the immigration ban, or the flight ban. Everybody in the feminist movement, everybody who doesn't fit that demographic, who stands to be attacked and whose rights are going to be encroached upon by a Trump tyrannical presidency, needs to be aware right now. You've got to be paying attention to the Young Turks, to what's going on at the confluence of the Cannonball and Missouri rivers. You've got to pay attention to Last Real Indians. Wherever you get independent, real media, please pay attention, whether that's the Lakota People's Law Project, whatever it is. We need you to be aware, and we need you to share our truths, because we have to stand together in this fight against tyranny.
So Chase, I'm a very keep it real kind of guy. So it's very likely that Morton County is watching this right now because they're monitoring live streams. They might incite, charge me with inciting journalism or something. So, hello. Bottom line, I think people need to be reminded that that's not private land, that's treaty land. This has been lost because the United States government and local governments here, local law enforcement, it's become a normal thing where land is stolen, and then the people who come to reclaim it are called trespassers.
Yes.
It's the equivalent of, somebody coming to my home, lighting it up on arson, like, being an arsonist, and then charging me as I come back with doing that. So, can you explain, that can't be moved to, technically, that is not private land. It's still
right.
part of your Standing Rock Sioux.
Yes. If the United States has any honor, then that is territory which the title to that territory is not quieted. It is colored, which means it's in dispute, meaning the Standing Rock Nation and several scores of other Native nations have a right to this struggle, to that land north of the Cannonball River, where the Ocheti Shakoi Ocheti Oyate camp is, and where the last child's camp was for 8 hours, or however long it took them to respond to it. That is the contested area. That is areas that we have been not disallowed from entering into or asserting our international identity in for about 130 years. Now, we don't want to impose upon private property owners. We don't. But land need to be talking to, and even the state of North Dakota needs to demand from the United States that the clouded title be negotiated for and cleared up. And that's something that the great negotiator Donald Trump needs to engage in right now, because this is just one of the many facets of the struggles that he's creating. The tyranny that he represents, his willingness to meet the interests of the corporate states and to further their agenda is going to cause a lot of uprising in our country, and we need to be ready for it. But we don't want to disturb or molest private property owners. We are making rightful, righteous claims to lands that we treated for, lands that we own and that we civilized millennia before America was even a fiction of anyone's imagination.
I also want to point out, as part of the treaty, this is coming at the same time North Dakota has issued a bill they use nice fancy language to help, to help foster greater education for native reservations, greater empowerment, economic. It's a land. They put forward a bill to essentially seize control of reservations, which is also known as we want to drill on your fucking land. I'll say that. So yes, the Dakota Access Pipeline is the issue, but I think North Dakota is almost being used as like a lab rat experiment for President Trump, who reports say they want to privatize reservations and they want to drill and extract oil, which reservations are known to have. So, as you have urged, I'd say suggested people, the fight is still here, the nonviolent fight.
Yes.
This is much bigger now than just Apple. This is about reservations, the treaties,
yes,
and a land grab.
All native nations stand to lose tremendously. They stand to face termination from a Donald Trump presidency and from moves from North Dakota legislators which urge the subjugation of reservation lands and authorities to govern themselves to be placed under state authorities. This is called termination. This happened before in the 50s, and we stood up and we rose up and defeated it in Sioux country, but some nations were terminated, and it's a very real thing. It's going to it's going to expose that the sovereignty that tribal nations possess right now is very limited in scope, and it's non-existent. It's subject to the whims and the will of the United States and the United States Congress. Those who feed you can also starve you, and right now we're going to see that if austerity comes not only to every American but to native nations in terms of termination and the withholding of federal funds, the economic sanction that is preventing casino revenue flowing from Bismarck, Mandan, North Dakota to the Prairie Knights Casino in the Standing Rock Nation, we're going to find out that all we have been doing in native nations is redistributing the rations that have been given to us since our economies were destroyed, since we were made domestic dependent nations, or since we were implicitly divested of certain sovereign attributes that native nations or any nation should enjoy. We are being politically, economically, and legally oppressed right now. And what we're saying is that we can't stand for that, and we need to do everything in our power to rise up out of that state and assert ourselves. And right now, if native nations around the globe, if the NCAIs or any native organization thinks that they can just sit back and watch this fight unfold while these rogue groups assert our international identities, then they have another thing coming, because we need to stand now or forever have our trajectory changed in an unfavorable way that will impact our children and our great-great-grandchildren to come.
I want to turn to Vanessa for a second. Before I ask you a question, I just want to set the stage for what's going on here. So, we're outside of Morton County. Morton County, over the last 4 months, has charged, I think, over 600 people have been arrested. Now, I don't know every case, clearly, but I could tell you the cases I do know. One is a man named Brennan Estacio. He's being charged with terrorism. Apparently, we died. All right, so... Yeah.
Let's go ahead and warm up real quick.
All right, Chase, I'm gonna head out.
All right, brother.
One good closeout. What's the future of the camp's gonna be? Because they give to the end of the month for the main camp to be cleared.
To the end of February?
Yep.
Okay, well, we're going to continue with the cleanup, with getting everybody up to high ground, and we'll figure that out as a camp. You know what I mean? In the camp, we have to think strategically about what's happening to us. We've got to commit to being unarmed and non-violent, which we have always been, and we need to get back to prayer, and so that our women and children feel safe in the camp. And so we're still committed, man. We're still in this fight. There's no doubt about that. And everybody out there, stay strong. I know what it's like to stand in solidarity with you now. All the over 700 people who have been arrested, who are putting it on the line and risking it. I'm with you, I love you, and we're gonna be standing side by side. But we need to figure it out as a camp. So just stay strong, stay where you're at, and we'll figure out how to address, You know, the walls are closing in from all sides, and we need to be mindful of that.
Even our own
that's what I'm saying.
tribe site too, as well, with the BIA closing down by the Cannonball pit stop while that was all going on.
I heard about that, and it's something. Look, the BIA doesn't answer to the Standing Rock Nation. The BIA answers to President Trump. And
Exactly.
So it's something that we've got to address. We've got to navigate it, but we're not going to give up. I mean, the world is depending on us. But thank you for all your viewers and listeners.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Chase,
You guys-
you ready for your other one?
Yeah.
There it is, guys. Live update with Chase. Sorry, guys. I'll see you down there. Well, that was fun. And I noticed everything's black and white. Go back to regular. Alright, guys, I'll close out this live feed. I kind of have to go incognito every time I'm up here in Mandan, because possibly might be the most wanted drone pilot in the freaking nation. Who knows? But with that said, you guys, I'm gonna go back down to camp, start putting out the drones, start surveilling everybody. That's even BIA. Watch their tactics, watch their moves, to watch over camp, watch for any infiltrators, watch for Dapple, and probably most likely go on top of the hill and survey and document Dapple that's sitting on top of the hill, that they took everybody off the hill because it was private land, but they that was just an excuse for them to come a little closer so they can pretty much get that much more closer so they can, you know, view us without using binoculars anymore. So that's what they're doing. And pretty much right now, guys, to tell you the truth, we're at war. This is an intellectual sovereignty war, and we're fighting for our lands and our rights as human beings, and as indigenous people. We are beautiful people. We are a beautiful people. We come from many stories, and we come from, you know, Earth. We come from the stars. We come from a lot of things that people go, you know, unnoticed about life. And see Trump and all his secret security, and you know, he thinks he's high and mighty. He thinks he's the king. He thinks he knows it all. But in reality, he don't. He's lost. He's a lost soul. And it's going to take an indigenous people to bring that all back. And we're here, and Chase is showing everybody the way. A lot of people out there stated that, you know, it was kind of pointless him putting up the camp on top of the hill when knowing what the consequences were. Now we do actions. We know what this. When we all think of it, you know, it wasn't pointless. It was powerful. It was empowering, and these water protectors set up this camp knowing that it could possibly be raided, but they still stepped forward into the light and still accomplished one of Crazy Horse's stories about going to higher ground, getting away from the flood. And camp's gonna be different. Camps are fading out into multiple little camps, but the most important thing right now is just camp's inside of all of us. Camp is in our minds and our dreams, and camp is what we make it. Alright, guys, well, with that said, I'm gonna go ahead and log off live here, and let's pray for Standing Rock. Even though they're against us, we still got to pray for Standing Rock, for they will find a way.
Hey guys, Jordan with the Young Turks, TYT Politics. Share this video now. We are in front of Morton County Courthouse, Jailhouse, the Dome of Corruption, as I would call it. And I'm with Chase IronEyes. and Vanessa Castle. 2 days ago, Chase was arrested at Little Child Camp, which was a brand new camp they were opening up right outside Ocheti Sakoan. Vanessa was not a part of that camp or demonstration. Chase and about 75 others, give or take a few, were arrested. Chase has been charged with inciting a riot and criminal trespassing, one of which is a Class C felony. Vanessa was also charged with inciting a riot. So Chase, to begin the story, tell me about the process. I remember getting knocked on my door the night before. Chase IronEyes wants you to cover
instructions to seek safety from the floodwaters and to go to high ground and to go west of the camp. And they did that. And because I went out to find out from the police who were assembling in a highly militarized fashion on the backwater bridge, which has been blockaded since October 27th, which is the largest roadblock or military blockade in North Dakota history, I went out with others, several others, to find out what the police and militarized law enforcement and National Guard and corporate mercenaries' purpose was. And they told me that that camp was on private land. I understand now that it's DAPO land. The Dakota Energy Transfer Partners owns that land, and they needed to be removed. And so I asked for some time to go relay that to those autonomous people and leaders who are not subject to or answering to me. But it's clear
for something. Why did you guys establish that camp, which was right across from the main camp?
Yes, it's important to understand that what's happening is I'm being targeted as a leader. They're trying to send me back to prison. A Class C felony inciting a riot is punishable by up to 5 years in prison. And that what had happened at the camp, the Ocheti Shakowi, is that descendants of Crazy Horse had received spiritual